I was visiting my relatives in India, and I was in Mumbai, visiting my granduncle for a day. It was late at night, and I had come back from a wedding. So, I went to take a shower. All my life, I had always taken a bucket bath at his house. This is where you fill a bucket of hot water. And you fill another bucket of cold water. Then you sit on a stool in the bathroom and mix the two according to the water temperature you want and pour water on yourself. This is very typical in India. This year my granduncle had installed a shower. So, I was taking a shower for the first time in his house. I tend to take very hot showers. The problem is the bathroom was very small, it did not have any windows for ventilation, nor was there a fan. But it has always been this way all my life and I never thought anything about it. I turned on the hot water. Minutes into the shower, I started getting very weak and tired. I was perplexed. In the US, when I take hot showers, very rarely I start getting a bit lightheaded. I know this is from 2 hot showers. I turn off the shower then and I lie down on the bed with my feet elevated. I am back to normal within a couple of minutes. But this was not the same. I was getting weaker and weaker. It was like my arms and legs were turning to jelly. I could hardly hold myself up. I was bewildered. It was so quick from being perfectly fine and 2 minutes later feeling like I would pass out. I was getting weaker and weaker and trying to comprehend what was happening when I heard a voice telepathically tell me, "Sit down right now as slowly as you can." I saw an image that if I did not do what the voice asked, I would fall down on the hard cement floor, crash my skull, and bleed to death. There was no second guessing this voice. I switched off the shower and I did my best to try and sit gently on the floor. I had become so weak by then that I fell to the floor. I tried to put my head down gently, but the muscles were too weak, and my head banged on the floor. I felt the impact and the initial pain. But then instantly, I was taken up into light. It was almost like an escalator, but much more upright. So, instead of a 45-degree angle, it was almost 85 degrees. I was going up, up, up. I was thrilled and in awe. I knew I was dying. And I didn't care. I had read so much about NDEs on the NDE website for the past few years that I knew I was dying. There was no pain, nothing. If anything, I was thrilled I was going to meet my son. Both my husband and son had died a few years earlier, within 10 months of each other. My husband had been 48 years old. But my son had just turned 18 years. A mere baby. I was so excited to meet him. As I was going up this rather upright escalator, it occurred to me now that I am dead, who would take care of my daughters? I had 2 daughters who were 20 and 21 years old. Nah, I thought, they would be just fine. My new husband would take care of them. And so, I had no worry and was merrily going up to meet my son. All I can remember at this point is that I did meet him, and my husband, who was in the background because I really wanted to talk to my son more than anybody else. And we talked for 3 hours. I know it is 3 hours because my cousin, who was also at the house, realized that after 45 minutes I still had not come out of the bathroom. Perplexed, she knocked on the door. No reply. She tried to open the door. But these doors of yours are built so strong you would need an elephant. Scared, she had run to the neighbors. They tried to open the door, to no avail. Frantically, she ran out on the streets to try and get anybody to help her. Someone found a locksmith after another house. They came to the house. With a lot of hammering and banging, they were finally able to break down the door. They found me blabbering incoherently. From my end, I was so upset I was dragged back into this body. I heard them banging on the door outside calling my name. I kept saying, "Leave me alone. Don't bother me. I want to be left alone. I don't want to come back." In any case, they opened the door. I was lying naked in a puddle of poop, to put it frankly. I was semi-coherent. They walked me to a bedroom, and I zonked out. My cousin and her parents assumed I just fell asleep in the bathroom. They think I always run around too much when I am in India, and they yelled at me for days after that I never rest. However, I passed out. The next day, I woke up very pasty. I was still weak. I also noticed that my heart was beating erratically. I thought about possibly going to a doctor. But I had no idea how to do this in India, and I did not want to bother my 90-plus-year-old granduncle. My cousin was just hell-bent I fell asleep from exhaustion. I felt better and better as the next few days went on. I felt stronger, my skin color reverted back to its normal, and I was not tired. But I did notice my heart skipping for a few weeks.